The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman.
Habari Gani. And that means it's time for another edition of Black Focus Radio. You know, the show that talks about our issues, our solutions, our voices. You know, we unabashedly address Black issues, creating Black solutions and amplifying Black voices, as we like to say. Be sure to support our sponsors, JoinNetRadio.com, where they keep you, I should say we, because I'm part of that show as well, that station as well, where we keep you informed and inspired daily. And they also replay Black Focus Radio 12 to 2 p.m. every day. Don't forget ribrub.com, that's RIBBRUBB.com, where we bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, we do that. Yeah. As I like to say, give me your hand and I'll take you all the way down there through barbecue land, okay? You can also catch Black Focus Radio on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And while you're out there on YouTube, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And be sure to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. One other thing, don't forget to join my one-man campaign to get rid of the N-word. It is the most despicable word ever created. Our rise begin with how we address ourselves, and using that derogatory slur against our own people is a negative, self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, as I like to say, just don't say it. It's just that simple. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that today, because I saw a brother addressing some young brothers in Memphis about this very thing as well. And by the way, they were Black Muslims, so I appreciate the nation. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today, all right? I will tell you today that I'm going to do a little self-promotion. I'm going to do it because I'm very happy. I'm very proud of myself for accomplishments that I did this past week. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but also we're going to talk about a boycott. We're going to talk about the boycott as it relates to the SEC, and we're going to talk about this now boycott that's supposedly going on against the Asian community. I'll tell you, we're going to talk a lot about that as well. Let's see, we're going to talk about Jamal Bryant. You know, you can say what you want to say about Jamal Bryant, but he's putting his money where his mouth is. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm going to talk a little bit about Carmelo Anthony, not the basketball player. Elijah McClain, you've probably forgotten about him. And, of course, Cyrus Belton, all right? And Derrick Coleman, a former basketball player, made a statement this past week. I'm proud about it. I'm proud of what he's done as well. So I will tell you, I had a lot of stuff to talk about, but I feel like, and we probably won't get into a lot of Trump stuff today, all right? Because there's some stuff that we need to address in our community. And that's what this show is about. That's why it's called Black Focus. We need to address some things. And some of the things that I'm going to say is probably going to tick some of you all off. I don't care. But these are things, particularly in light of what's going on around this country and all these cases that are popping back in our faces. We got to talk about these things. It's time, folks. In fact, it's past time for us to start addressing our own issues. Okay? So I'm just letting you know that it's just time. Okay? Now, before we move further, you know, as I told you all before, that from this point on, I'm going to do the Black Man's Oath. This is something that I saw on Facebook, and I thought it was so fantastic. I'm going to read it every show, okay? And I think all of us need to take heed to that. And what it says is what I'm going to address some today as well, all right? So here we go. The Black Man's Oath. As of today, I have no problems with other black men. My goal is not to hurt or harm you, but support and uplift you. You have enough enemies. In fact, I should say we have enough enemies. So be safe out there, black man. Be safe out there, black man. Just a simple little oath that I would love for every black person, male or female, to start saying, because we got a bigger fight on our hands than any other time that I've ever seen. Okay? So, just wanted you all to be aware of that. We're going to talk about that. All right, so we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. My black fact today, as a matter of fact, let's do it this way. Let's do black facts.
Dynamic black facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
Okay, I hope you're ready. I'm going to use black facts today to do a little self-promotion. All right? And I'm going to do it because I think it's important that every now and then we need to pat ourselves on the back. And every now and then, hopefully you all will become aware of what I'm trying to do as an individual, a talk show host. Notice I didn't say a podcaster. I'm not a podcaster. I'm a talk show host. And a writer. I'm officially, well, I shouldn't say I'm officially a writer, because they always say you become a writer once you publish something. Well, The Pain of Vengeance has been published since, 1996? Well, I wrote it in 96. I think it was officially published in 2002. So I've been a writer for a long time. All right. So if you don't know it, I just recently decided to redo The Pain of Vengeance. If you follow me on Facebook, you've probably seen the new cover, all of those things. Now, here's why I decided to do that. I decided to do that because when I initially published that book, I went to a white publisher. And I did it because of cost. I did my research and found out that now I will tell you it was Lumina Press. That book would be cheaper than all the other publishers that I needed. At the time, I didn't have a lot of money. I wanted to get the book out. And the reason I wrote the book is because of what I was going through with custody and child support in the court systems in Tennessee. And I used that as my therapy, because I also almost committed suicide in light of all of that stuff that I was going through at the time. So I used it as my therapy in order to try to help myself, but also help some other people. Now, I will tell you, the book is fiction. A lot of the stuff in the book is made up, but I will tell you also that there are a few things in the book that I actually experienced. Okay? Now, so I used Lumina Press, and it was poorly edited. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. So I pulled it off the market. In fact, I was embarrassed, and it took me a long time. And I've always wanted to be a writer all my life. And now with the invention of print on demand was back then as well, but it wasn't like it is today. And being able to sell it on Amazon and things of that nature, Spotify, I decided that I was going to redo the book. So it took me about a year, and not only did I want to redo it, because of my radio background, I had the time, I was going to make it into an audio book. I did that, all right? And I narrated the book as well. And it took me a while because of the other responsibilities that I had. I would do it part-time, but unfortunately for me, I had a friend who edited again. I also did some re-editing as I audited the book. Not audited, but as I narrated the book, I did some re-editing as I went. So you'll find that there is some different editing that is in the audio book that is not in the book itself. A lot of it is because it's the new version of The Pain of Vengeance. So I'm saying all that because that book is out now. And I am thrilled to tell you, and you can go out to Amazon, you can go out to Apple Play, you can go out to most of the audio version is going to be a little bit of everywhere. I also uploaded it on Spotify as well. It's there. So I hope you go out and check it out. Also, the ebook is available as well for The Pain of Vengeance. You can get that on Amazon, and you can get a paperback on Amazon as well. In fact, I've got 10 paperbacks headed my way now which I'm very excited about. I'm probably going to give away a few of them as well, so I'll keep you posted on all of that. But I'm excited to see the book and see what it looks like when they send it to me. I'm telling you all that because if you have a story, this is the best way to tell that story. You know, it's you may not. Here's what I would tell you. And a lot of people are asking me, how do I start the book? And a very dear friend of mine called me the other day, and we go back a long way. And he wants to write a book, and he's got a lot of tidbits and information that I think would make a great book. Okay, but I will say that this particular friend is not very learned. He's not going to be able to write the book himself. He's going to need some help. And there are a lot of you out there that are like that. Y'all aren't English people. All right. Me personally, I read a lot growing up. I was just thinking before I started the show how much I used to love to go to the library. All right. I love the library. All right. Every city that I've lived in, and I've lived in a few cities in my lifetime, I always get a library card. You know, I was thinking the other day, I don't have a library card for Baltimore. And that's where I live right now. So I'm going to have to go out and get a library card just for the city of Baltimore because I always have a library card. I would advise you to do so as well. I took my kids to the library. It's great. In fact, you can go if you don't. People were asking me how could they do recordings because I do my recordings here in my studio. But this young lady who asked me how could she do her own audiobook? She doesn't have a studio. There are libraries now that have audio studios that you can go to. There are colleges that you can call up and they'll let you use their facilities for a minimal cost. And a lot of times, if they are public universities, they'll let you use them for free as well. So what I'm saying to you is, and I know a lot of you all can't do this, if you are someone who has a story to tell, and a lot of us do, okay? A lot of them are inspirational. Now, my book is fiction, but I think you'll be inspired by The Pain of Vengeance as well. All you need to do is get you a ghostwriter, okay? Get you someone who can write it. I will tell you right now, you can start your book even though you can't write your book. Let me tell you what you need to do, all right? The first thing you need to do is what we call brainstorming, okay? And what I mean by that is get you a pencil and a piece of paper. I know that's kind of odd today considering the fact that everybody uses computers, but I think it works better when you got a pencil and a piece of paper. Okay? And I want you to write down everything in your head about your book. What you want to talk about. Don't worry about it being grammatically correct. Don't worry about if it has the right sentence structure, if it's just 3 words, if it's just a name. Whatever it is, just get that pencil and piece of paper, and you don't have to put it on the lines. Write it in the margin, write it on the side. It don't matter. Just write down everything you can think about that you want to put in your book. Okay? This is the beginning of your book. All right? Now, once you've done your brainstorming, now you're ready to get your book organized. Okay? So now, after you've done your brainstorming, go to another sheet of paper and pick out everything that is in common with your brainstorming. Okay? Just put common 1 or, Roman number 1 and pick out everything that is in common. And then when you pick it out, just write a line through it. Don't completely erase it on the brainstorming page. Just draw a line through it. That way you know you've used that. So now you've got your brainstorming on one page. And now you're beginning to organize on the next page, okay? That's how you start your book, okay? Now, the next step would be to do an outline, all right? Now, you may not know what an outline is. You may not know how to do an outline. This is where now you can call up your friend or your ghostwriter and say, hey, look, I've brainstormed. I've organized my brainstorming now. I need you to help me with an outline. Now you can begin to think about writing your book. That's how you do it. Now, I'm a little different from most of y'all. So I wrote The Pain of Vengeance. I didn't make an outline. I guess I did kind of in my head. But I wrote The Pain of Vengeance right just off my head. Okay? I'm currently writing another book, another novel today. And by the way, The Pain of Vengeance is a novel. I'm writing another novel. It's called Blue Chip Down. And I do have an outline for that. Okay? Because there are a lot of things that I want to talk about. I want to make sure that's in the book. So that's how you begin this thing, folks. Because all of us have a story. And I wanted to let you all know that writing a book is easy, but it's hard. Because it's hard to stay focused. And don't feel like that you've got to finish the book at a certain period of time. You finish the book when you finish the book. Okay? And I'll be honest with you, it doesn't necessarily have to be wrapped up in a nice bow either, the ending. Now, I will tell you that The Pain of Vengeance, well, I'm not going to tell you about the ending. But I will tell you also that Blue Chip Down, right now, I haven't really decided on the ending. And I didn't tell you that the book that I started writing before Blue Chip Down and after I wrote The Pain of Vengeance is called Mind Jack. That's coming. I already know the ending of that book. Okay? I already know the ending. So once I'm finished with Blue Chip Down, by the way, I'm hoping to be done with that by September. Then we'll be able to get to my favorite book. The book that I really love is Mind Jacked. And it's funny because the novels that I've written, I started writing these novels long before the common things were happening today. All right. I told you I wrote The Pain of Vengeance, started writing that in 99. It's about fathers' rights. Now we're seeing all over social media, fathers' rights this, fathers matter, fathers this, dad's life, this like another. I started writing this stuff a long time ago. Blue Chip Down. I've been talking about it because at one point I did a sports show, the weekly sports magazine, and I talked about boycotting the money that black athletes are making for white universities, and white people are laughing in our faces. I started writing that book years ago. Now, what's going on in today's society? People are talking about we need to boycott the SEC. In fact, my argument has been we need to boycott all them white colleges. That's how I look at it. You know, Mind Jacked. Mind Jacked is actually about a mad scientist who creates nanobots that controls people. I'm giving away the plot right now, but it's okay because I think you're gonna like it. Well, nanobots. I read a piece the other day where nanobots are being used to attack cancer cells and not bother the cells that are okay. Because when you get chemotherapy, chemo attacks all the cells, not just the cancer cells. But they're now using nanobots to attack cancer cells, and it won't attack the healthy cells. My book, yeah, it's Mind Jacked is about that very thing. Not cancer itself, but it's about nanobots. Okay? Now, I'm not sitting here saying that I'm beyond people, but I don't know, my mind is weird. I will tell you, those who know me say, yeah, man, you think about things most people don't think about. Man, I know, I'm just weird like that. But anyway, I say all that to say that I hope that you all understand that writing is an art. And anybody, I won't say anybody can do it, but if you have the heart to do it and the patience to do it, you can write your own book. Now, one other thing before we finish. If you're a person out there who wants to write a book, or maybe you've already gotten your book, your manuscript together, and you want to get it published, there are a lot of people on social media who are charging you money that aren't going to do jack flip for you. All right? They'll say this and they'll say that. I will tell you this. I will help you get your book on Amazon, Kindle. If you wanted an audiobook, I will do that for you. Now, I'll be honest, it's going to cost you some money. I'm going to charge you for it because it's going to take up my time. But I'm not going to charge you all this stuff that they're charging you. All right. So make sure you hit me up. My number is 615-554-0568. And you can send me an email at thepainofvengeance@gmail.com or blackfocusradio@gmail.com. And we can talk about whether or not you want to hire me to do your book. All right. One other thing I want to tell you, that pretty soon I'm writing, well, I won't say I'm writing. I've already completed. It's ready to go. It's a nonfiction book. It's called Grants and Federal Assistance Made Simple. All right. For those of you who know me, I've been helping people write grants for since about 2000. And I put together a seminar that I traveled around the country and did these seminars for people to help them become more proficient in finding and writing grants. Well, as I put together The Pain of Vengeance, I realized how easy it would be to transpose my seminar into a book. I've done that. All right. It's called, as I just said, Grants and Federal Assistance Made Easy. Okay. So if you are interested in writing grants, you want to, and oh, by the way, it's just not the grants part. It tells you how to set up a nonprofit. It tells you how to set up a board of directors and make articles of incorporation. In fact, there are samples in the book. Not only does it do that, it tells you how to write proposals. And it tells you the different parts of a proposal. And guess what? It gives you samples of that as well. Okay? I'm so excited. That book is available right now. I have not uploaded it to Amazon as of yet. Eventually I am. I am selling that book direct to you for $9.99. There are people, I'll be honest with you, there were times I would charge up to $150 per person in my grant seminars. The same information that is in Grants and Federal Assistance Made Easy is the same information that I was giving in my seminars. Hello? For $9.99. Okay? So I just want you to be aware. You're gonna see. I'm gonna flash the book on the video when you'll see it when I get through here. You'll see it all in the video. If you're watching the video, I know a lot of you guys are watching or listening to Join That Radio, and it's on the radio. But again, here's my number real fast: 615-554-0568. If you want a copy of that book for $9.99. Just send me an email at, I have that email as well, but send it to me to blackfocusradio@gmail.com, okay? Just send that to me, and I will hook a brother or a sister or all y'all up, okay? So just be sure to do that, all right? All right. So that's enough for self-promotion for me. We got to get into the show today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll be back in a moment. It's called Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices on joinnetradio.com.
Attention entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and soon-to-be 501c3 organizations. My name is David W. Coleman, and I want to ask you a question. Are you looking for funding for your business or organization? The new year is upon us, and it's time to get those grant proposals ready. Deadlines for submittals will arrive quickly, and I can help you put your best business foot forward. There are multiple funding sources available to assist you in completing your mission. You just need to know where to look. If you are new to proposal writing and need tips on where to search for funding, this seminar is for you. I'll help you demystify some of the myths relating to grant writing. I'll give you great proposal writing tips to help you get your submission in the A-pile. I'll point you to funding sources that most people ignore when pursuing assistance. It doesn't matter if you are new to the game or a veteran in this space. I have no doubt there is information you can utilize to get the dollars flowing to your business or organization. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but tried and effective methods to be successful. If you want to know more, respond with the word grants in the comments below, and I will send you information on the very next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar. In the meantime, keep looking for that funding, and I'll see you at the next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar.
Akila Nantambu is the leader of Hekalu, the underground sanctuary for fathers needing help to get out of the country. She has not met anyone who lived up to her father until she saw Derrick Coleman. Not only did she want him to take her father's place as the leader of Hekalu, but also she wanted him as her own. Follow Coleman as he vacillates between his sworn duty to uphold the law and his parental responsibility to his children. The Pain of Vengeance is a novel about the difficulties fathers face with the family court system when looking for justice. Are men really becoming obsolete only to be used as money machines and sperm donors? The Pain of Vengeance will challenge your perception of fatherhood and force you to examine your own sexual biases relating to fathers.
Available on Amazon, Spotify, and your favorite booksellers in ebook, paperback, and audiobook.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me if you'd like to join the show. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Again, I don't do a lot of self-promotion, but I thought it was important for me to go ahead and tell you all about how you all can get information from me, because I do a lot of things, and it helps me as well, because I work for myself now more than ever before. So any support that you can give me, and look, I'm not one of those people that just sell you something and leave you alone. You can always call me after the fact and say, hey, what can I do about this? What can I do about that? You know, I won't say that I'll help you write your grant right now. I'm already helping a couple of people do that already. And with me writing my books, I don't really have time to help you with that aspect of writing. But I'll give you all the necessary pointers and things of that nature that you need in order for me to get that done for you. Okay? So, a lot of things to talk about today. There are a lot of things that are going on. I guess I want to start with this. We're going to get into the boycott thing. We're going to get into the Asian boycott thing here a little bit later. But I want to start with this. I want this to be the groundwork for the show. And let me just tell you this. You know, I've been really critical of gangster rap. And that's going to be part of this process. You know, I've been talking about, when you hear my opening monologue, I ask people to join my one-man campaign to get rid of the N-word because of its negative self-fulfilling prophecy. I want to ask you a question. Are you, as a black person, happy with the representation that we see from our young black people? Look, you're going to get mad, but we need to have this conversation. Let me ask you again. Are you, as a black person, happy with the representation that we have from our young black people? I will tell you that I'm not. In fact, I will tell you that I'm embarrassed. In fact, I will even go further to say I'm frustrated with young black people today. Now, that doesn't mean all of them, but an awful lot that is used as the representation of us, our people, my legacy. I'm 65 years old. So anyone that is a generation behind me is my legacy. I laid groundwork for them to be who they are today. Y'all understand? So let me give you an example. I saw a video the other day that really rankled me. And it just wasn't then. I've seen others, and I've had this frustration before, and that's why I'm having this conversation with you today. It was a video of 4 young black males. And the video starts where there is a man who is outside of his home washing his truck. Very nice truck. 4 young black males walk up to him and just started talking. Now, this video was shot on somebody's home camera, so you really couldn't hear the full conversation. You could hear them talking, but you couldn't really make out the conversation. All of these young brothers had on hoodies. That's not a big deal. I wear hoodies myself. But the way they were wearing the hoodies suggested that they were wearing them to hide their faces. They began to talk to this man. You could see that this man was Hispanic, which that doesn't matter one way or the other. And they all of a sudden demanded that he give them his keys to his truck. The man denied him, said, no, I'm not going to do that. One of the young brothers pulled out a pistol, pointed it at the guy's head. All right? Pointed it at his head. Before the guy who had the pistol realized it, the man had unarmed him and put him on the ground and was beating the snot out of him. One of the other young men decided to jump in, and by this time, apparently the man's brother saw the commotion and ran and grabbed the second young man and put him on the ground. Y'all get this, right? What they didn't know is that those two men were Marines. Now, I tell people all the time, there are 3 people that I won't mess with. Well, I'm 65, I ain't gonna mess with you anyway. But if I was out there and I had my common sense, and clearly these 4 young men didn't have common sense, there are 3 people that you don't want to mess with. Marines, Army Rangers, and Navy SEALs. You don't want to mess with them guys. Them guys are trained killers. They are trained for hand-to-hand combat. They are trained to disarm you, whether you have a gun or a knife. I'm gonna tell you like this, and excuse my vernacular because I know I'm gonna be on Joanette. They gonna whoop your ass. Okay? And that's exactly what happened. By the way, those 2 other guys, this is how your boys do you. Those 2 other guys ran off. They saw the 2 getting pounded by these 2 guys, and they decided, we don't want none of that, we gone. Now, ultimately, they ended up getting caught. And they're all going to go to jail. And you know what? Rightfully so. Tell you another story. The story about these young men who were robbing this old man's house. Young black men. Knew the guy was 75 years old. Went to his house late at night and started trying to kick in his door. The man shot through the door and killed one of them. His parents now are trying to sue this old man because her son was killed. Now, let's talk a little bit about what we see on the media. There is a story that is on Netflix called Nemesis. A lot of people are watching this story, this movie, or this series. I watched the entire series because what I do when I go out and watch stuff on the on my TV, I try to support black content. And I watched the entire series of Nemesis. I was offended. I really was. Just like I was offended with, I forgot to know, but Ghost. Everybody would talk about Ghost and, man, you got to watch this series. It's bad, it's bad. I ended up watching Ghost. Okay? And that series, and I've talked about that a lot on the show, it was nothing more than a black man who destroyed his family. His wife, his daughter who was murdered, and his son who ended up being in the drug business. Hello? And everybody was talking about how great it was. And by the way, this was produced by 50 Cent. Oh, 50 done did it. 50. He simply used the negative part of our community to make money. And y'all are talking about it. A couple of the examples here. I met the president of the Girl Scouts about a year or two ago. And we talked, and I told her I was in the Boy Scouts growing up and how great it was and yada, yada, yada. And we got to talking about when her friends come to Baltimore. And she told me, she said, when my friends come to Baltimore, the first thing they want to do is go to where The Wire was filmed. And she said, I don't take them. And I asked her why. Because I will tell you, I've been living in Baltimore almost 4 years now. I've probably been through, in fact, I know I've been through the neighborhood because I drive around the city a lot. But I didn't go as a tourist. I just happened to go through the neighborhood. She said, I don't take them to see where it was filmed because The Wire has such a negative connotation for black people here in Baltimore. And I agree. Yo, I know you're probably wondering, well, David, where are you going with this? Just hold your horses. Because I think this is important. This is important. So I saw a clip, and I've been seeing these clips of this, and I've never seen the show, but I get the crux of the show just by watching some of the clips on social media. It's gotten to the point now when they pop up on my wall, I delete them, or now I don't know how they ended up being where they would come up on a regular basis, but now I just block them. It's called All the Queen's Men, and it's about a black woman who is a gangster. And she does all the negative things that she can to prove how bad she is. Why? I asked you earlier before I started this segment, are you happy with the representation that our young black people show today? Part of how the way they act today is dictated by what they listen to and what they see on television. Y'all get this, right? You know, this is why I've been anti-gangster rap for a very long time. This just didn't come to me. But and Malcolm Jamal Warner summed it up best when he talked about gangster rap. It is nothing but murder, mayhem, and misogyny. That's all it is. There is nothing positive coming out of gangster rap. And by the way, y'all do know that part of the reason gangster rap exploded was because of Jewish record producers. They own 75% of the market. Okay? What happened to the positive rap? So let me just give an example. When we were fighting for civil rights in the 60s, we had all kinds of people making songs about the movement, what we have to do. The best record, according to Rolling Stones today, is Marvin Gaye's, the best album, not just the record, is Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. That record was recorded and released in 1972. And Marvin Gaye was a Motown signed artist. Do you know that Berry Gordy, when Marvin Gaye took that song to Berry Gordy, What's Going On, Berry Gordy did not want to produce that song because Berry Gordy was in the business of making wholesome, quote unquote, wholesome music through Motown for white people. And he felt like that What's Going On would offend white people. Hello? That album alone is by far, I listen to that album on a regular basis. And I will tell you that if you listen to that album today, you would swear that that album was recorded last week based on what is going on in this country today and around the world. That's just how prophetic that album is. So there was the Temptations Ball of Confusion. I could go on and on and on. There's multiple songs. People Get Ready. There's A Train A Comin'. You had War. You had Edwin Starr. War. What is it good for? These were protest songs about the movement and about Vietnam. You don't hear those songs today. All you hear today is how big somebody's member is, how big her butt is, how she want to ride it, how he want her to ride it, what he want to do with it. You know, you got your gad, you want to shoot somebody, you dissing somebody from across the country. That's all you hear today. And then you throw in the crap that's on television. Some of this stuff that they make for black people's consumption. I remember that there were some black rappers who got mad when 12 Years a Slave came out. They were upset and they were mad. I'm not going to see 12 Years a Slave. I'm tired of seeing that stuff. But they need to make stuff that's more up to date. Well, that's your history, by the way. 12 Years a Slave was about a man who was stolen into slavery. He wasn't born into slavery. He was stolen into slavery. And ultimately ended up becoming free. You don't want to know your history? Part of the reason you make that crap is because you don't know your damn history. Hello? So those rappers got mad. I'm not even watching. I knew a lot about it. I want to watch that. What? But it's okay for you to watch stuff like The Wire. It's All the Queen's Men, Ghost, and all that other stuff. It's okay for you to do that. That is doing nothing to empower you. It is nothing more than corrupting your children and causing them to be gangsters and be a representation of what many other races feel that we are. That's okay. I'm asking because it's mind-boggling to me. Because I will tell you that old saying, garbage in, garbage out. If you eat a lot of junk food, what's going to end up happening? You're going to end up having heart disease, high blood pressure, and probably diabetes, and you're going to die at an early age, and you're going to be fat as hell. All right? That's how it works. So whatever you're feeding your brain is what you're going to become a product of. Y'all understand that, right? So if all you're doing is feeding your brain drugs, gangs, and violence, then guess what? You will become a product of drugs, gangs, and violence. And that is what we're seeing with our young people today. Every day on the news, there's a story about a young brother, just a few blocks from where I live right now, in broad daylight, a shootout. I live in an area that's pretty tame compared to the broader area of Baltimore. See, we used to, look, when someone would shoot up a school, we would always say, oh, they must have been white. When we hear somebody shooting up a city, they must have been black. And not only that, they're shooting up their own neighborhoods. They're killing one another. That's why I did that Black Man's Oath. That's why I do it every day, every show now. Because what is going on in this country right now is that we need those young black soldiers. See, what y'all don't realize is that the prison industrial complex is making billions of dollars off of your young black males. That's why I started fighting for fathers' rights, because I know for a fact that the common denominator of all the negative behavior children participate in is fatherlessness. And you can go out and look at the statistics. Drugs, gangs, violence, early teen pregnancy, the list goes on and on. All of those young people don't have fathers active in their lives. That's why I fought so hard for mine. And I can tell you today, and I don't mean to be bragging, but my two children, you hear me say, you will hear from them. Because my two children are kicking ass and taking names on a positive note out there in the world. Because daddy fought. That's why I demand that all fathers fight. Be in your lives, children. Don't let a court tell you why you can't. And if you are a woman out there and you got a child, you ought to be, I don't care if he did play around on you. Long as he didn't beat you and abuse you, you need to make sure that your child is with that. He can go see his daddy. And I'm not talking about every other weekend, because that breaks down to what, 4 days a month. How can a father discipline a child every other weekend? You need to say, hey, this week you're going to stay with your daddy. Next week you're going to come back and live with me. You know, you say, well, how could you do that? I know it worked, because that's what I did. It was difficult on me. In fact, I wasn't even living in the same city. I was 3 hours away, and every week early on, or what we did every 6 months until they got in school. They were with me. They knew what my expectations was. I tell the story all the time about Mufaro's beautiful daughters. And tell you what, let's do this. Let's take a break, and when I come back, I'm going to finish up this, because I'm asking you the question: are you happy with the representation that our young black people are showing the world about us? Back in a moment. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. On joinnetradio.com.
Akila Nantambu is the leader of Hekalu, the underground sanctuary for fathers needing help to get out of the country. She has not met anyone who lived up to her father until she saw Malik Coleman. Not only did she want him to take her father's place as the leader of Hekalu, but also she wanted him as her own. Follow Coleman as he vacillates between his sworn duty to uphold the law and his parental responsibility to his children. The Pain of Vengeance is a novel about the difficulties fathers face with the family court system when looking for justice. Are men really becoming obsolete only to be used as money machines and sperm donors? The Pain of Vengeance will challenge your perception of fatherhood and force you to examine your own sexual biases relating to fathers.
Available on Amazon, Spotify, and your favorite booksellers in ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Barbecue season is here, and you're still using that 99-cent goop full of chemical derivatives and high fructose corn syrup for your sauce? Stop, please. Get to ribrub.com now and save your next cookout with an array of all-natural rubs and sauces. Start with the Dynamic Rib Dust for seasoning and the Dynamic Rib Rub for flavor, and top off your grilled or smoked masterpiece with Dynamic Rib Juice. Don't forget the Dynamic Pepper Juice for just the right kick for those chicken wings. One other thing, you've got to try the delectably delicious Dynamic Rib Nuts. Can't decide? Order a Dynamic gift box and satisfy all of your cravings. Come on, give me your hand and let me take you to barbecue land at ribrub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com, and we'll show you how to bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. joinnetradio.com. Send me an email at blackfocusradio@gmail.com. Don't forget to go out to Amazon, audiobooks, Apple Play, and order The Pain of Vengeance. I'm so happy to have that book out there. We're talking this hour about, are you happy with the representation our young black people are showing the world? I'm not. You shouldn't be either. Okay? And I was telling you about how the relationship that I had with my children, I had to go back every 6 months. I lived 3 hours away. During the summers when he got in school, I was there if school went out on May 31st, I was there June 1st to pick up my child. Okay? I knew how important it was. You know why I knew how important it was? Because guess what? I grew up without a daddy. And you say, well, Dave, if you grew up without a daddy, why didn't you go down the wrong path? Well, the reason I didn't go down the wrong path is because I saw up close and personal how going down the wrong path, and I didn't want to live that life. That was my brother, older than me. I didn't want to be a drug dealer. I didn't want my name known as Big Money. And people looked at him afraid of him. No. I wanted to carve out my own life, and I wanted to live my life. I wanted to make sure that my children, whom I promised at age 10, that their dad was going to be in their lives, and I was going to make sure that they knew who their father was. Yeah, I'm kind of divulging some personal information about me, but I don't mind to share my story. But I'm asking you the question, are you happy with this representation? Because this representation of what we're seeing of our young black people is terrible. And right now, the world is against black people. The world has always been against black people. And next hour, we're going to give you some examples of that. I told you today, we're not going to talk about Trump. We're going to talk about us. We're going to talk about black people and what we must do. There's a reason why I have the segment at the end of every show called What We Must Do. Because what we got to do now is start doing some self-evaluation. We got to start asking ourselves, is how do we change this? It is important for us to understand that we have got to start letting these young brothers know that what they're doing is wrong. You know, I saw a video yesterday, and there was and look, shout out to the nation. The Nation of Islam, they do a lot of great work. Now, whether you may not be Muslim or not, that doesn't matter. But if you just listen to their message, I wasn't a big fan of Louis Farrakhan for a long time because of the relationship he had with Malcolm X. But Brother Louis Farrakhan says some very good things about black people and what we must do. That's part of the reason white people don't like Louis Farrakhan. See, anytime you become a dominant black voice, white people are going to attack you. Because, see, they know that particular voice can galvanize black people. And when you galvanize black people get stuff done. History is replete with those examples. So I saw these brothers, and they were in a park. And see, I've talked about this before. I don't like to think that I'm prophetic, but maybe I am. Maybe the reason that when I almost died 4 years ago, and I didn't die, maybe I'm here for a reason. I don't know, but I'm saying to myself, why is all this stuff that I've already been talking about for years, now people are beginning to grip it? I don't care about the credit. But remember, I guess it's been about a year now that a lot of people have been referring to our younger generation as young niggas, YNs. When I first started seeing that, I started posting on every post that came across my wall. Stop using it. Why are you putting that negativity on them long before they even become adults? My son is not a YN. He's a young brother. He's a young man. He's not a young nigga. And these black Muslims, it had to be about 40, 50 kids. They were in a park and they were walking, and this brother was telling them, stop referring to yourself. When I do my teenage survival kits, one of the things that I do is I tell young people to stop using that word. I used to do rites of passage and queenship, where I would take young people out to camps and we'd stay for a weekend. And one of the things that was not allowed is using the N-word. You see, I started doing rites of passage camps back in 2000. That's what made me get into writing grants. There were two things you were not allowed to do in my camps. You were not allowed to show up without a belt, and you were not allowed to use the N-word. Period. So this is not something that I just developed over the last 2 or 3 weeks or months. This has been in my mind for decades. Because how you refer to yourself is how you become. Hello? So these rap music, these negative series that are on television, is doing nothing but corrupting our minds. And you might say, well, oh, it's giving jobs to black actors and so on and so forth. Well, we got to start getting to black actors. You know why I love Denzel Washington? We were watching a movie of Denzel the other day, and I tell people all the time, the best movie that Denzel ever made was Fallen. Now, I know a lot of people like The Equalizer. I love those movies too. They're right there too. But when I realized Denzel, it wasn't and Soldier Story was bad. I mean, bad as in good. He played a hell of a role. In fact, I think he got a Best Supporting Actor in that, at least nominated for that. But we're watching Denzel, and think about Denzel Washington. Have you ever seen Denzel Washington in a movie that negatively showed black people in a negative light? Have you ever seen that? I haven't. I've seen every Denzel movie he's ever been in. You've never seen him do that. So don't sit here and tell me that you can't make a black movie with black stars that are positive. Yeah, you got to have a protagonist and an antagonist. I understand that. But even in the series that I told you about, Nemesis, the protagonist in that series was flawed. Greatly flawed. And sometimes you say, well, that's how it goes in a lot of stories. That's true. But you found yourself not even liking him. There was no redeeming qualities in this man, the protagonist. He was black. So no matter how they put us in movies, it always seems to be negative. For whatever reasons. Or the black guy that's the good guy, he ends up getting killed. Mission Impossible. Last series, but Ving Rhames is killed late in that movie. Okay? The black guy always got to go. What I'm saying to you is that we have to demand better from businesses. We have to demand better from movies and radio and music. And more importantly, we have to demand better from our own people. Because if we don't, we're going to continue to be laughed at. If we don't, we're going to continue to be made fools of. That's the bottom line. Next hour, we're going to talk about the Asian guy who dared us to boycott. Dared us. Wow, you have some unmitigated gall. When in fact, you are here because of us. We're going to talk about that. But I'm going to ask you a question again. Are you happy with the representation of our young black people today? Because I'm not. I was reading a story the other day, and we're going to wrap this up here in this segment. A young black woman who just graduated high school. She decided to do a split on stage before she got her diploma. They ended up kicking her out of her own graduation and withheld her diploma. Now, let's be honest. These schools that try to withhold your diploma, they can't withhold your diploma. If you completed the credits, so on and so forth, you're going to get that diploma. But you know, the proudest thing in a parent, and I've been to a couple of graduations, 2 of my kids. And one of my kids is now going to Georgetown. I'm sitting here already. He's got about 1.5 years to go. I'm already plotting. I can't wait to see my son walk across the stage at Georgetown. I went all the way to Chicago to Rockefeller College to see my daughter get her master's degree. It was a proud moment for me. The proudest moment of your parents is to see that child walk across the stage and get that diploma. And this girl decided to do a split. She was thrown out of her own graduation. Are you happy with that? I bet the mama wasn't happy with that. I'm willing to bet she wasn't. So I'm going to ask you a question. And by the way, somebody commented on her post. She's preparing herself for becoming a stripper. And I can see why they made that comment. Now, we're going to wrap this segment up when we come back. We got a lot of stuff to talk about in the next hour. But I'm going to leave you with the question that I started this segment, in fact, this whole hour about. Are you happy with the representation that our children are displaying for our people? It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. On joynetradio.com.
Akila Nantambu is the leader of Hekalu, the underground sanctuary for fathers needing help to get out of the country. She has not met anyone who lived up to her father until she saw Derrick Coleman. Not only did she want him to take her father's place as the leader of Hekalu, but also she wanted him as her own. Follow Coleman as he vacillates between his sworn duty to uphold the law and his parental responsibility to his children. The Pain of Vengeance is a novel about the difficulties fathers face with the family court system when looking for justice. Are men really becoming obsolete only to be used as money machines and sperm donors? The Pain of Vengeance will challenge your perception of fatherhood and force you to examine your own sexual biases relating to fathers.
Available on Amazon, Spotify, and your favorite booksellers in ebook, paperback, and audiobook.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman.
Welcome back to the second hour of Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me if you'd like to join the show. A couple of quick notes that I want to talk about this hour. I want to make sure I throw in Derrick Coleman. Derrick Coleman is the former Syracuse basketball player and also NBA player who decided to turn down a Hall of Fame nomination in Alabama. Okay? He decided to turn it down. You know why he decided to turn it down? Because he said that he didn't like what was going on in Alabama as it related to voting rights. And you know, the funny thing about it is that there were black people who were throwing dirt on Derrick Coleman's name because he did that. Making fun of him. Talking about, well, he wasn't that good anyway, and this, that, and the other. How stupid can y'all be? Here's a man made a statement. Which we all make. By the way, some of these so-called black pseudo-intellectuals are the same people who are living on the backs of the people that fought in the 60s. The money that they're making right now, they wouldn't be making if it weren't for the people who fought in the 60s. My generation. Okay? In fact, these young brothers who don't want to boycott the SEC. There was a story about a young man who didn't want to boycott the SEC. He had choices of USC, and he had picked 3 other SEC schools. He picked the University of Florida, and they asked him, why did you in light of the boycott that has been initiated by the NAACP, why did you pick Florida? Why didn't you go to USC? He basically said, hell no, I'm not gonna follow what they say. And then I'm going to Florida because Florida doesn't have any income taxes. And this dummy doesn't realize that the reason he's able to pick Florida is because there were black people who walked through the door before him and stood in the door before him. This dummy don't even realize that Florida used to use black babies as gators. That's where the term gator bait comes from. That's how they used to trap alligators. They would steal black babies from mothers They would steal black babies from mothers, or they would take black babies from mothers, take them and chain them to a stake in the swamp. And when the alligator would come up to eat the baby, they would shoot the alligator in the head. And quite often, a lot of times the alligators would get to the baby. The baby would be in the mouths of these alligators. And this dumbass person was thrilled that he going to Florida. Talking about, they're going to give me $1 million and I'm going to be able to take care of my mama, my daddy, my family. You know, that's wonderful. But again, as I tell you, you wouldn't have been making that money if it wasn't for the people that laid the groundwork for you to walk through those doors. Oh, by the way, I remember when I first went to Florida, that was years ago. I think it was about early 1980. I went down to Pensacola. And we stopped along the way. It used to be funny. Florida used to have drive-up liquor stores. And you could literally, I don't know if they still have them today, but you could literally drive up to a liquor store, drive up window, and order a drink. Okay? That boggled my mind. But we went into this one particular store, and across, on one side of the store, they had stuff that they sold people. They had Confederate flags and all this other memorabilia. And one of the things they had were keychains. And you know what were on the keychains? There were alligators that had little black babies in their mouths. And did you know one of the salespeople in that store, white boy, thought it was hilarious. Oh, aren't those funny? Y'all want one? Hell no, I don't want one. In fact, let's go. We didn't buy anything at that store that day. I just boggles my mind, folks. But anyway, Derrick Coleman, I appreciate what you're doing. Jamal Bryant. You can say what you want to say about Jamal Bryant. But last week, I heard that Jamal Bryant is raising $2 million. $2 million. And is going to give it away as scholarship money for those students who go to HBCUs. Whoa. You see, Jamal Bryant has been at the forefront of a lot of this movement, the boycotting of Target. He didn't initiate it, but certainly he's been talking blackness for a long time. And some of you black folks have been throwing darts at this guy. What y'all gonna throw darts at him now when he's telling black kids that if you go to a Tennessee State, an Alabama State, an Alabama A&M, a South Carolina State, a Texas Southern, a Morgan State right here that's around the corner from me. If you go to an HBCU, and look, I'm not trying to ignore some of these other great black schools out there. Certainly I can't ignore Meharry and Fisk because I lived in Nashville for 15 years. He's telling you that if you go to these schools, I'm going to give you some scholarship money. I'm raising $2 million. You see, this is what I'm saying about putting your money where your mouth is. And my argument is right now, every black church should be doing the same thing. Well, what if I got a kid that's extra smart, that's Ivy League? Well, send him to Howard. Okay? This is what we need to be doing. We need to be funneling our money into black students and black institutions. You know, part of the reason that these kids end up at PWIs is because those PWIs offer them scholarships. Hello? See, I grew up watching Arkansas A&M. Y'all probably don't remember that. You got to be my age to know what that is today. Arkansas A&M is called the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. That was the first football game I ever went to. It's so amazing. I can even remember the teams. It was Arkansas A&M and Prairie View. First football game I ever went to. First homecoming I ever went to. I was, probably 6 or 7 years old. And then, of course, my older brother took me to the Turkey Day game at Little Rock Central versus Little Rock Hall. But my very first game was at an HBCU. And I will tell you today that I regret that I didn't go and play at an HBCU. The only problem was that they didn't offer me money. They didn't offer me a scholarship. I ended up going to Southern Arkansas University, where I regret today. I hated it. I hated that school, and I'm being honest with you. I made a lot of great friends, but I hated the school. I hated the town. And didn't care for the coaches either. I'm just going to be real with you. So Jamal Bryant is telling black kids that if you go to an HBCU, I'm going to give you some scholarship money. That's what we all should be doing. You know what? First chance I get, I'm going to send some money to this fund. You should be doing it too. You should be doing it too. Because that's what we've got to do, is start helping ourselves. Because it's pretty clear that nobody else is going to help us. And they've used us. They've used us. So now let's talk about what we want to talk about this hour. I'm going to start you off with something I heard that was so damn offensive to me. Let me make sure I got it queued up correctly, that I have to talk about it. And typically I don't play a lot of videos on my show, but I need to play this because it was so offensive to me that you need to hear it for yourself. You don't need to hear it from me. Just hear it for yourself, okay? So let's go. Here it is.
I love when the black community says, let's boycott Asian businesses. Please do. We'll get rid of the Chinese takeout, the dry cleaners, the laundromats. Let's get rid of the liquor stores as well. Get rid of the Jordans you guys wear, the Nikes you wear, the shower caps, the Hondas, the Hyundais, all your car electricians, the electronics in your house, the Sony, the TV system, your sound system, the microphones that you guys use to rap and speak about awareness for the black culture and the hip hop culture. Where do you think that's made in? That's made all in Asia. And here's another thing for you guys. You guys want us to leave the neighborhood so bad? Oh, Asian people are in our neighborhoods? We're in white neighborhoods. We have our own Chinatown. We have our own Koreatown. You think we really need you guys to benefit off and make money? A lot of us.
Did you hear that? That was an Asian guy. Because black people are saying that they need to boycott Asian stores. Now, let me just tell you this. I saw another video of a brother who went into a store. He was selling t-shirts. And he knew the store owner, who was Asian, by the way. He apparently knew the store owner's family because he knew the store owner had daughters. Apparently, the daughters played in the neighborhood with the black kids. He goes into the store and he said, hey, man, I'm selling some t-shirts. And I'm going to tell you the story of where I come from on this. And the guy said, hey, do you mind buying a t-shirt for your daughters? They're $20, da-da-da-da-da. You know that Asian man didn't buy a t-shirt from this other guy and he went on to say that he had been coming in that man's store for 20 years. He had spent buku money in that man's store, and that man wouldn't pay $20 for a t-shirt to support a cause that he was supporting. Now, let me tell you about this. Because I've been saying for a long time that black people are lost when it comes to our financial dollars. You put eyes on your dollars. I tell you all the time that your dollars are your vote, just like your vote at the ballot. When you go into a store, you are voting for that store and the products in that store to keep that man in business, to be able to pay his employees, to be able to feed his or her family. When I lived in Nashville, Tennessee, in 2010, we had a horrible flood. I lived on West Hamilton Avenue, right off of Clarksville Avenue. Those of you who are from Nashville, you will know this area. At the corner of Clarksville Highway and West Hamilton was a store. I had just launched my product, Rib Rub. And that store was owned by a white family. Had been in their family for years. It was one of those stores that had a butcher. Those stores don't exist anymore. I remember growing up and you could go into stores and they had a butcher, and if you wanted 4 slices of bologna or 4 slices of American cheese or whatever, they would cut it for you right there, wrap it up in butcher paper, and you weigh it and sell it. That's what this store was. All right? They eventually, and by the way, when I went into that store, I said, hey, look, I'm making out. Do you mind selling my product? You know what they did? They sold my product. They would put my rib rub right above their meat counter, and they made money off the rub, and so did I. We became good friends. A couple of years later, they sold that store to some Arabs. And when you went in the store, you saw all this mess. And I call it mess because that's what it was. All right? You know, blunt wrappers and T-shirts and do-rags and all that stuff that negatively, that's a negative output for black people. So we had this flood. Across the street from me were houses, and behind those houses was White's Creek. White's Creek was known to flood. In fact, a black man had been trying to lobby the city and the city council for decades to try to get them to do something about White's Creek, because if they don't, one day it's going to flood and it's going to wipe out the entire community. By the way, this community was one of the oldest black communities in the city of Nashville. So no, city council wasn't going to do anything. They didn't give a damn, because what is it? They don't do anything about black community and the calamities that affect it until the calamity has happened. And then what do? They come in and tear down those houses and gentrify the area and move in white folks. Age-old story. This man had been lobbying them for years. So we had that flood. Fortunately for me, I lived on the side of West Hamilton that was on the banks. So I could look down. In fact, there was a 20% grade in my driveway that I had to go down. In fact, when I used to work out in my driveway, that grade was so high, I would walk up and down my driveway. It wiped out the whole area that was on the other side. I sat in I stood on my driveway and I measured the water from where it started and where it would come up. And there's video on Facebook. You can go out and look at them. The house across the street from me, water was so high that it was up to the roof. I am not kidding you. Garages was floating down White's Creek. I was blocked in for 3 days. Now, at West Hamilton and Clarksville Highway, that's where White's Creek began. So that store was missed by the flood. So I was so frustrated and I cried a lot that I don't know why people say, well, did you want to be flooded out? No, I didn't want to be flooded out, but it hurt me so bad to see those houses. And in the aftermath, people went, and the entire city of Nashville got wiped out, literally. Lots of places. And people were going around the city helping to do cleanup. You had to get all that mold out of your house. You had to get out of that sheetrock that had been soaked in flood water out of your house. So people, all white and black, was going from neighborhood to neighborhood helping to tear out and clean up. So I knew at the time, because I had a back problem, I wasn't going to be able to do a lot of cleaning up. Here's what I did. I started going to stores in my neighborhood. There was a Kroger's, there was a independent grocery, there were some service stations and stuff like that. I went to a lot of them and said, hey, look, my name's so-and-so. I'm trying to collect food because people are gonna be in the neighborhood this weekend. And I live on West Hamilton. I want to grill some hot dogs and hamburgers and give them away free water or Cokes. Do you mind making a donation? Every one of them, because every one of those stores in that neighborhood, in that area, benefited from those people, black people. Every one of them made donations. I had all kinds of hot dogs, hamburgers, everything you need, except one. That Arab station. Okay? That Arab store. I went to them and I told them what I was doing. They said, no, we're not going to do that. I'm paraphrasing. I said, well, look, let me tell you something. I said, I live a block down the street, and I did. And not only that, at the time I was doing radio on WNSR. And we were doing sports, but the calamity was so great that we weren't talking sports. We were giving information on how people could get help. I told him, I said, I do radio. I said, and if you don't donate, I said, you live in this community. This is a predominantly black community. And if you don't donate, I'm going to put you on blast on my radio show. And he got smart. I said, okay, thank you. I said, all these other stores have made donations. You're the only one in this neighborhood that hadn't made a donation. I said, I'm not even asking you for money. I'm asking you to give me some hot dogs or some hamburgers. Or some hamburger buns or some potato chips and some water. And that's all I'm asking. He still was a smart ass. I said, okay, cool. I left. He called me the next day. Oh, Mr. Davey, I'm sorry. There was a misunderstanding. See, the misunderstanding was that he didn't realize that I had the clout that I did in Nashville at that time. And I did put his ass on blast that morning that I went into the radio show. When I went back that next evening, he had all kinds of water, hot dog buns, meat, everything. Because he understood that I could really damage his business. He understood that. So for that Asian guy, I don't know who he is or what his name is, for him to have the unmitigated gall to get on social media and dare us to boycott him, I dare you black people to show them. That's my dare to black people. I dare you to show them the power of the black dollar. Because what I've been telling you all for decades is that black people, their economic power, they have more money than the gross national product of Canada when it comes to economics. It's larger than the 9th largest nation in the world. Did you hear what I just said? We generate more economic power that it is more than the 9th largest nation in the world. Yet less than 10% of that money goes to black businesses. I was offended yesterday when I watched the video of an Asian store opening up in a black community, and black women were lined up out the damn door. Hello? Just 3 days prior, Cyrus Benton had the murder of Cyrus Benton. He had been acquitted. He was found not guilty for chasing down Cyrus Benton and shooting him in the back over some water. And what you all don't know, that this same man, Rick Chow, had also shot 2 other people. And his Shell station was in the black community. Now, he ultimately ended up selling that station. And the owners put out a statement the other day saying, hey, wait a minute, we not part of Rick Chow, da-da-da-da-da-da. But black people still shut it down. See, we should not be waiting until a tragedy happens in our community before we decide that, hey, we're not gonna support that business. The reason these things continue to happen, and next segment, I'm going to give you some other names. The reason these things continue to happen to our black children is because we're letting it happen. Not that we need to go and be violent at these stores, but these stores need to be civically responsible for the communities that they support, that support them, I should say. We don't demand, just like that brother went in there with those t-shirts. He said, look, I've been putting money in your pocket for 20 years and you won't buy a $20 t-shirt for me? For your daughters? Asian guy reached out the window, squeezed, started rubbing the fabric like he knew it. Come on, dude. That store ought to be shut down, and every one of them in our neighborhoods. They ought to be shut down. Only the reason you ought to be going to these stores if there is a necessity. Because see, they made a lot of our communities deserts when it comes to grocery stores. By the way, that's by design. I talked about the sister that opened a store in Chicago called 40 Acres, the grocery store. All of these black athletes who are making money, All of these so-called rappers who have made it money off the communities. Instead of you making money and buying Cadillacs and going to stripper clubs and throwing out thousands of dollars, why don't you take some of that money and put it together and build a grocery store in your black neighborhood? Don't just show up during Christmas and Thanksgiving and give out turkeys. Show up every day. That's what you ought to be doing. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on JoeNetRadio.com.
What's old is new again. The release of the Pain of Vengeance audiobook is finally here. A new generation, but the old story remains the same. What happens to an officer of the court when the tables of justice are turned against him? Will he abide or take the law into his own hands? Follow the saga of Derrick Coleman as he makes decisions that will change lives forever. Be the first to hear it and hear it again. What would you do? Accept an unjust ruling or reject the system outright that views fathers as second-class citizens? Order The Pain of Vengeance today. Now available as an audiobook. The Pain of Vengeance will make you cheer, cry, laugh, and make you question equality and who truly benefits. Order The Pain of Vengeance audiobook by Dante Sinkay today. Barbecue season is here and you're still using that 99-cent goop full of chemical derivatives and high fructose corn syrup for your sauce? Stop, please. Get to ribrub.com now and save your next cookout with an array of all natural rubs and sauces. Start with the Dynamic Rib Dust for seasoning and the Dynamic Rib Rub for flavor, and top off your grilled or smoked masterpiece with Dynamic Rib Juice. Don't forget the Dynamic Pepper Juice for just the right kick for those chicken wings. One other thing, you've got to try the delectably delicious Dynamic Rib Nuts. Can't decide? Order a Dynamic gift box and satisfy all of your cravings. Come on, give me your hand and let me take you to barbecue land at ribrub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com, and we'll show you how to bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices on JoeNetRadio.com. We're talking a lot about ours, us's. This whole show, I do a segment at the end of the show called What We Must Do. This whole show has basically been a What We Must Do show. I want to talk a little bit this segment, and I want to make sure, because I wrote a lot of this stuff down on what I wanted to cover here. I want to talk a little bit this segment about Elijah McClain. I ended talking about Cyrus Bolton last week. Carmelo Anthony, by the way, is the young man who is on trial right now in Texas, who ended up stabbing another a white boy who was harassing him. And I will tell you that Carmelo Anthony is going to be convicted. His argument has been it was self-defense, but he's going to be convicted because guess what? The jury is all white. They excluded all black jurors. So he's going to be convicted. So y'all better get ready. So what are you going to do about it? Y'all typically like to riot and burn up places in your own neighborhoods. What are you going to do about it? Because see, that's incongruent. That makes no sense. You did the same thing when George Floyd was murdered. So you better get ready. Carmelo Anthony is going to be convicted and he's going to go to jail. I hate to say it. You don't know the story. He was at a track meet. It was storming. He ran under a tent of an opposing school. He got bullied. He kept telling the people to stop messing with him, and he ended up stabbing the boy and killing him. And he also admitted that he stabbed him and killed him. Okay? So they paneled the jury. It's going to be, it's all white. He's going to jail. I hate to say it. See, white people think it's okay. And you're seeing it more and more now, especially with that fool in the White House. They think it's okay. Then now I can go in and harass black people all I want. Okay? And I'm going to be defended. I'm going to, if I go to jail, I'm going to get out of jail. This is what they're doing. And I say that to say this. The story of Elijah McClain that didn't get a lot of publicity. When that story broke, it really, all of them hurt me. But the story of Elijah McClain, when I talked about that on the show years ago, I think it happened at 22, it made me cry. Because Elijah McClain had been to work. A young black male had been to work. He had walked to work, and during that time period, there was a vicious snowstorm. He had walked to work, and he was walking home. Okay? And if you've ever had to walk in snow, and this wasn't 1 or 2 inches. If I remember correctly, it was 12, 13 inches of snow. The one thing that they don't do is clean off the sidewalks. They do try to clean the streets. Elijah McClain was walking home in the snow in the street and was accosted by 2 police officers and demanded his ID. Now, what you don't know about Elijah was partially autistic. And if you've ever been around an autistic person, they don't like to be touched. They don't like to be touched. And Elijah was telling them, I'm not doing anything. I'm going home, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. The police decided that they were going to grab him, touch him, and put him in handcuffs. In fact, had no reason to even stop this man, because I've walked in snow before. And we had a bad snowstorm here this past winter. And guess what? A lot of people were walking in the street because they couldn't walk on the sidewalk because they weren't plowing the sidewalk. In fact, they were plowing the streets and the snow was being sprayed onto the sidewalks. The snow dunes at some points here this past winter was sometimes, 7, 8 feet high. I am not kidding. On the sidewalk. In fact, this area has a law. The city has a ordinance that you are required to plow or at least clean your sidewalk in front of your house. People weren't even doing it because it was so much snow. So here's Elijah walking down the street with all this snow. Police accost him, stop him, demand his name. He gets paranoid because he's autistic. They think he's resisting. They grab him, they throw him to the ground, they handcuff him, and then guess what? They decide they must have injured him, so they decide to call the ambulance. The ambulance shows up, and the ambulance attendants injects him with ketamine. They basically overdosed this young man with ketamine. A young man who was doing nothing but going home. The officers were eventually went to trial and convicted, and guess what? Last week they're getting a new trial. You see, the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is happening to black people every day. You ask the question, well, why do black people don't trust the police? I can give you story after 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 story. And I still go on. You know, the funny thing about it, I keep telling people that you should watch the movie Cornbread Earl and Me. Cornbread Earl and Me starred Lawrence Fishburne as a young actor. You know what the story of Cornbread Earl and Me? Cornbread Earl and Me, Cornbread was a star basketball player. And by the way, that movie is celebrating 50 years. That star basketball player, the guy who played the role was Jamal Wilkes. He played for the Los Angeles Lakers. Jamal Wilkes, or Cornbread as they called him, was the star basketball player in the neighborhood. And he was going to go to UCLA. It was raining one day. Everywhere Cornbread went, and his two friends was Earl and I forgot what Lawrence Fishburne's name was. They were younger than him. They were like his cheerleading squad. These two young guys. They were like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And everywhere Cornbread went, they went. Cornbread, can I get this for you? Cornbread, can I do this for you? Cornbread's the best basketball player that ever come out of the neighborhood. It was just a great movie. I didn't know when I saw Cornbread Earl and me the first time, and I was a young man. I don't think I was even in my teens at the time. I think that came out about 72, 73. So no, I was barely 12, 13 years old. Went to the movies. Went to the Black Theater in Little Rock, Arkansas. The Arkansas. That was the name of it. It was the Black movie theater. Yeah, in 72 and 73, we still had segregated movie theaters. Okay? So don't tell me about segregation, young black brother. You don't know what it's like. Went to see the movie. And Keith Wilkes, his favorite drink was an orange soda. Went to the store, bought an orange soda. He always carried his basketball with him. And it was raining, so he was drinking the soda and dribbling down the street. A robbery had occurred. And somehow or another, the police mistook Cornbread as one of the robbers. And they shot Cornbread down like a dog in the streets. As I tell you right now, I can see that orange soda flying in the air and breaking and splattering all and the glass going everywhere. I can see it right now. It was that profound. And the story goes on where how the police covered it up and basically the police ended up getting off. Okay? That was back in the 70s. This movie. Birthed out of probably some things that were still going on then. But I say that to say, here we are in 2026, and those same things are still happening, George Floyd, Mike Brown. How is it that we in the black community continue to allow these things to happen? And I know what you're saying, well, Brother Dave, well, what can we do? There's a lot of things we can do. I'm going to tell you what we must do in the next segment coming up. But the point I'm trying to make to you guys is this, is that every chance that they get, and when I say they, I mean the white establishment, they try to put their foots on our necks. Even now, in 2025, Donald Trump signed some legislation that is going to give police immunity when they do something in the community. They can be sued, but you know what? If they lose, the police are not going to lose their badges. They're not going to go to jail. You know who's going to end up paying for that? You, the taxpayers. So the irony is that the police can come into your community, murder your people, and then guess what? You end up having to pay for the police to be tried. And then if they lose, you end up paying their settlements. Something's wrong with this picture, folks. Something's wrong with this picture. I dare you to go back and read the story about Elijah McClain. Go back and read that story. It is horrific what they did to that young man. He did not deserve to be treated the way he was. And he certainly didn't deserve, and I believe the ambulance attendants, they're still in jail, but the police are getting a new trial. You see, they tell you that evil can only thrive when good people do nothing. Are we the good people? Are we so happy with what we've got? We can drive Cadillacs. Some of y'all live in white neighborhoods. Some of y'all got white wives. Some of y'all got white husbands. Some of y'all got white girlfriends. You can go and screw a white girl, a white boy. You can do all those things that you couldn't do back then. But guess what? If nothing else has become clearer to you under this administration, they still regard you as a nigger. And by the way, you're perpetuating that word because you call your young brothers and sisters niggers. Hello? You're perpetuating that situation because you would rather kill a young brother over a corner that you don't own, that you don't pay taxes on, as opposed to defend that young brother when white people do things to put you in prison. Hello? Yeah, you can get mad all you want. I told you this. Today's show was going to be a little different because I'm tired. I'm tired. Yeah, you can kill them. You can dog these sisters. Sisters are dogging brothers. They got y'all so confused that you hate yourself and you hate the father and the mother of your children. And you won't do anything to improve their lives. You become so dependent on the white man system. Now, guess what? Did you hear the other day? They've just passed a law that WIC was designed to help poor mothers to have healthy babies. But you know why they're passing WIC? See, you all don't know this. See, y'all don't read enough. You see, a lot of people who benefit from WIC are white people and black people, black mothers. But see, they don't want to have healthy babies in the black community. They want those babies to die. They want white babies to live. See, I've been telling y'all all along that this whole thing about abortion has nothing to do with Christianity. I used to always say that you want these people to have these babies, but you don't want to help feed these babies. You cut out all the programs that are designed to help these mothers, single mothers. You don't want to help feed them, but you want them to have them. Margaret Sanger, who was the mother of the abortion, she was the one. She did, if you go back and read about this woman, she wanted black women to have abortions. She hated black people. If she could have had it her way, she didn't want white women to have abortions. Because y'all do understand what is happening. We've talked about it a lot on this show. Dr. Welsing, Francis Cress Welsing said it early on. By 2042, this nation will be predominantly minority. People of color. That's what's happening. In fact, what state, and I'm sorry if I don't remember, I read something the other day that there's a state that is trying to even outlaw birth control and IUDs. They're trying to outlaw birth control and IUDs. Because see, what they want to do is they want to make America a white nation. Why is it that Donald Trump just imported 10,000 white South Africans? Wait a minute. Aren't y'all talking about immigration? People invading America? Oh, that's right. It's okay for white immigrants to come to America. You just don't want the brown ones and the black ones. Are y'all not seeing this? It is as plain as your nose on your faces, and you don't know it. You don't know that bee is on your nose. What's the African proverb? It says, I couldn't see the forest because of the P in my eye, PEA. Hello? All of this is about race. America has always been about race. A country that will have picnics. By the way, that is what pick a nigga. They would have picnics for, and go out to my wall, I posted something about that today. They would have picnics for hangings. Thousands of white people would show up to a hanging. They hung 4,000 black people. Hello? You all don't even realize that there wasn't really a prison system until 1865. What happened in 1865? Oh, the Emancipation Proclamation. Hello? So there were free black people. So they created the national prison system so that black people could be re-enslaved in prison. They even put it in the 14th Amendment. Yeah, you free unless you are committing a crime. So what did they do? They passed vagrancy laws. They passed loitering laws. You could get locked up for just walking down the street for 10 years. Come on, folks. There's a reason why they don't want you to read history. There's a reason why they don't want you to know what they did and what they're trying to do today. They're trying to make Charlie Kirk a saint. This guy was an unmitigated racist, and they want to compare his record to Martin Luther King Jr. Oh, the unmitigated gall of these people. They are literally laughing in your faces, and you got black kids and black parents who are okay that you're going to go and play for the white institution because that's something that I've always dreamed that my little child could do. And soon as he steps out of line, his ass is going to have handcuffs. He's going to have metal bracelets. And then you're going to be running to the black community saying, oh, save me, save my son. They doing him wrong. But wait a minute. Where were you when we decided to put together a boycott to SEC and we told you not to go to that school? Where were you when we told you to stop shopping at those Asian businesses because those Asian businesses don't give a damn about you? Where were you when we told you not to shop at those Arab businesses and those Hispanic businesses? Where were you? You were okay until your little child got in trouble, and now you want black people to come to your aid. And one other point before I take my last break and we go to the last segment. What happened to Cyrus Belton was horrific. But let me tell you something. This goes back to what I talked about in the first hour. Are you happy with the representation that our children are showing the world? Because guess what? If Cyrus Belton wouldn't have been in that store stealing, he would be alive today. I said what I said. What did you teach him, Mama? What did you teach him, Daddy? When you saw him going down the wrong path, did you say, no, son, you're not going to do that? When I come back, I'm going to remind you of the story that I saw last week about the man who locked his child in the bathroom because he was breaking in cars. Back in a moment. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
Barbecue season is here and you're still using that 99-cent goop full of chemical derivatives and high fructose corn syrup for your sauce? Stop, please. Get to ribrub.com now and save your next cookout with an array of all natural rubs and sauces. Start with the Dynamic Rib Dust for seasoning and the Dynamic Rib Rub for flavor, and top off your grilled or smoked masterpiece with Dynamic Rib Juice. Don't forget the Dynamic Pepper Juice for just the right kick for those chicken wings. One other thing, you've got to try the delectably delicious Dynamic Rib Nuts. Can't decide? Order a Dynamic gift box and satisfy all of your cravings. Come on, give me your hand and let me take you to barbecue land at ribrub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com, and we'll show you how to bake it, grill it, smoke it, oh yeah.
Attention entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and soon-to-be 501c3 organizations. My name is David W. Coleman, and I want to ask you a question. Are you looking for funding for your business or organization? The new year is upon us, and it's time to get those grant proposals ready. Deadlines for submittals will arrive quickly, and I can help you put your best business foot forward. There are multiple funding sources available to assist you in completing your mission. You just need to know where to look.
book. If you are new to proposal writing and need tips on where to search for funding, this seminar is for you. I'll help you demystify some of the myths relating to grant writing. I'll give you great proposal writing tips to help you get your submission in the APAL. I'll point you to funding sources that most people ignore when pursuing assistance. It doesn't matter if you are new to the game or a veteran in this space. I have no doubt there is information you can utilize to get the dollars flowing to your business or organization. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but tried and effective methods to be successful. If you want to know more, respond with the word grants in the comments below, and I will send you information on the very next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar. In the meantime, keep looking for that funding, and I'll see you at the next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. This is a favorite segment of the show. It's called What We Must Do. This show today has been giving you some cold-blooded medicine that black people, you know, back in the day, my mama, when you would really get sick and you could never shake that cold, mama would give me castor oil. Castor oil was some of the nastiest stuff that you ever had. We used to have black drought. We used to have Father John. Y'all remember Father John that was in that orange container? And we would rather take Father John than or Creole Motion. We'd rather take that than that. Well, if that didn't work, you had to get the castor oil. And boy, the next day, you were okay. You were okay. So I've been giving you some castor oil today. And if you're mad, that's good. Baby, don't get mad at me. Think about what I'm saying today, and let's start initiating some change in our communities. We had an Asian guy who had the unmitigated gall to get on social media and dare us to boycott their businesses. Let's show him. I dare you to show him. That's what he said. I dare you to boycott us. He don't realize that you are able to get on social media is because of black folks. Okay, so I was quickly telling you about the young black man, the father. It was two brothers, mother that was in this video. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if it was staged or not. It didn't look staged. Father was upset with one of his sons who was 15 years old because the young man was breaking in cars. The video had begun, and the father had locked his son in the bathroom and dared him to come out. He was sleeping in the tub. When people had to use the bathroom, the girls went to another bathroom, but the guys went in the bathroom. They would pee right there in the bathroom. He would be right there in the bathroom. And the son was upset because he wanted to leave the bathroom. The father said, no, I'm going to lock you in here. You in here, and you're going to stand here until I tell you you can come out. Because you need to understand that this is where you're headed. He said, you don't understand. And I understood what he was going. Because see, when you locked in a jail cell, you got 2, 3, 4, 5 different guys in that one cell. And the toilet is right there. It may be running over. It may be flooded. And when that other inmate has to take a crap, you smelling his poop. When the toilet won't flush, you smelling urine. You're smelling piss. Let's be honest. And a lot of times you right there. Your head is right there. And this dad was trying to make a point to this young man that, see, if you continue down the path that you're going, you are going to end up right there. So I'm just preparing you. I'm trying to give you a lesson. Even the older son came in and started trying to chastise his dad. Dad, this has been going on too long. Yeah. Shut up. Even the mother was saying, oh, you just being too hard on him. See, that's the problem. A lot of these women are raising these sons. See, there's an old saying that I used to use in my seminars when I did the Teenage Survival Kit. Fathers raise their children. Women love. Well, let me take that back. Fathers raise their sons. Mothers love their sons. There's a difference. Did you get what I just said? Fathers raise their sons. They give them the straight dope. They hard on them. This is what's going to happen when you're a man. Mothers don't do that. That's why we got what we got right now. Mothers are raising these sons and daughters. I mean, they're loving these sons and daughters. If you really love your child, you're gonna raise him. You're gonna give him positive strokes when he deserves it, and you're gonna come down on their asses when they are messing up. That's why I did this show today. Are you happy with what our children represent? How they're representing us, our community? Not just their family, but when we see a black kid out here trying to rob a Marine and take his truck, that's representative of us. When we see these young brothers gangbanging, that's representative of us. When we hear this music that they're playing, that's representative of us. I had to take an Uber last week, and the young man, I got in the car and he was playing all this gangster rap and it was, suck my you-know what, and the woman would come in and yeah, I'm sitting on it and doing all this. And and I just sat there and listened. And when I got out of the car, before I got out of the car, I explained to him, I said, brother, this is your business. I said, you should not be playing that music. I said, it represents what your business is. I said, if you're playing it with me, and don't assume because I'm black that I want to hear it. You're doing it with other people. And guess what? They're giving you a negative rating, and eventually you're not going to be able to make your money. Hello? I'm tired. 65 years old, brothers and sisters. I had hoped that this would not be here, but we are reliving misery that my people fought for, that my people marched for, that they died for. And it's time for the black community to wake up. That's why I've been so tough on these black pseudo-intellectuals. People like Clarence Thomas, who got to the Supreme Court on the backs of black people fighting for him. And he's basically turned his back on black folks. You hear these so-called black intellectuals, I don't want my son to boycott. I'm against the boycott. If my son get a scholarship, he gonna go and play. Oh, I'm not gonna participate in a boycott for Target. I'm not gonna send my child to an HBCU. I'm proud to say that my daughter graduated from Tennessee State. My son would have went to Tennessee State, but they made him a better off at the time. But there's another side of that story I ain't gonna get into right now. And I regret that I didn't go to an HBCU. Because if we take the monies, and here's the irony is that Nick Saban is now lobbying against black athletes making money with NIL. That's it. This man made over $150 million off of black bodies. And now he don't want those same black bodies. And by the way, the majority of his career, black students could not be paid. These black athletes, and they're trying to make the argument where it's not fair to other athletes. Well, wait a minute. It's very fair because those black athletes, football and basketball, is the reason that those other athletes in those non-revenue, let me say that again, non-revenue generating sports. That means they ain't making no money for the school. The reason they can get those scholarships is because of football and basketball and those black kids. So it's very fair. It's very fair because without those black kids playing football and basketball, you're not making money. Those kids don't get scholarships. But Nick Saban is lobbying to change that. These white people are disgusting. I don't care if he is your coach. What does your coach stand for? Just because he was able to win a national championship, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. We got our priorities messed up. We've got our priorities all out of whack. Because until you show me that you're John Brown from Harper's Ferry, I'm going to still put you in the category of Donald Trump and David Duke. Y'all don't know that historical reference. If you don't, go look it up. Let me just say that again. Until you show me that you are John Brown from Harper's Ferry, I'm going to consider you David Duke and Donald Trump. Go look up that analogy. It's going to surprise you. And at the end of the day, what they've shown us today is they all... Look at Tommy Tuberville. Tommy Tuberville is a senator now. Tommy Tuberville coached at Auburn. Coached black players. Won a national championship, if I remember correctly. And now he's doing everything in his power to deny black people voting and deny black people dignity. The same and by the way, from Camden, Arkansas. Hello. Not surprised. Went down on Magnolia, Southern Arkansas, same place I went. Racist city. Predominantly black, but racist city. Not surprised with Tommy Tuberville. My point is this, and as I said, this segment is what we must do. Yeah, we need to boycott every business that is not giving back to our community. Asian, Hispanic, Arab, and white. Let me ask you a question. If they're already boycotting us, you got a business? You as a black person, do you have a business? If you have a business, can you tell me how many Asian, white, Hispanic, and Arabs support your business? We know they don't. And the irony is that black businesses are afraid to even identify themselves as black businesses because they know that those 4 ethnic groups are not going to contribute to their business one iota. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. I saw a post on social media, should you be identifying yourself as a black business? I chuckled. The reason you don't want to identify as a black business, look, I'm proud of being a black business owner. I'm proud that I do grant seminars. When you see me, you got to see I'm black. When the money that you pay for that seminar, you know it's going in my pocket. I'm proud to be a black man. So you not proud that you are a black business owner? Because other people are not going to support you. So they're already boycotting you. So they're already boycotting y'all asses, but y'all are afraid. Y'all want to have some black pseudo-intellectual conversation about why you shouldn't boycott white businesses, white schools. When was the last time you saw white people going to HBCUs? You rarely see that. Hello? Would Peyton Manning have went to Grambling or Southern? Hello? That's what you need to think about. And at the end of the day, yes, you need to boycott all 4 ethnic groups. Spend that money with black people. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what we must do. Hope you enjoyed the show. We air every Monday, a new show on joynetradio.com. You can also catch the show on YouTube. Make sure you go out and like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget that if you have information that you want to put together and put a book together, I will be glad to help you. Yes, you're going to have to pay me, but I will be honest with you and fair with you, but I'm going to give you the straight dope on how to do it. I've done it personally myself. I am very proud of it. Go out and support the Pain of Vengeance. I would really love to have that support. I think you'll love the book. And don't forget, coming soon, you'll be able to get grants and federal assistance made easy. In fact, you can already get it now simply by hitting me up, and I'll send it to you direct. You just need, it's not a book. It's going to be an ebook. All right? And as I close, just remember this. You get your freedom by letting your enemy know that you're willing to do anything to get your freedom. Then and only then will you be free. You'll get it. Habari Gani. And thanks for listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on joynetradio.com.